This is my main character here. His name is McIvor, because my surname is McIvor. Although I was a bit shocked that actually I wasn't taken in the game. But he's not the guy I'll be using. This guy here, Grim Reaper, his name is. He's a level 90 Death Knight. So I've done quite a lot of research, and in the new expansion, which is 5.1 in Mists of Pandaria, there are no detailed tutorials or like videos on how to play him in raids and things. So I've just recently got him to 90, so his gear isn't the best, but I can do raids and not die, so that's a benefit. A raid is a 25-man dungeon, basically, and a dungeon is just like a level where 5 people go in and try to, go through and kill a number of bosses in a sequence. So raids are obviously a lot harder. Like the bosses have ridiculous amount of health, like 3.5 million health. Some of them have, or 350 million health. Sorry, I don't know why I said 3.5 million. That's rubbish. Um, so yeah, the main idea for this video is to record this guy, what his moves do, uh, what the best rotation is. So the rotation would be what way to use his moves. So when you're opening up a fight, what move you use to build like runic power he uses instead of rage or energy, and the most efficient way to kill an enemy, basically. So yeah, we'll get into that soon. Good. So we've got over why I'm doing Blood Death Knight and a couple of basic things about him, but not really anything that's going to benefit you, let's be honest. So, as you can obviously tell, his armor's pretty massive. That's called plate. And over here are all his armor that he's wearing up. So my gear is pretty simple. It's just all heroic stuff. You can tell at the top underneath the blue name says heroic. But as long as my guy is wearing all plate, specialization, all plate, he gains 5% stamina. And stamina gives me my health up here, this green bar. So I've got 470,000 health. So, that's pretty good, considering the fact I've got another character who's level 90 better geared than this guy, and he's only got 336,000 health. It's pretty awesome. So, just gonna go over the basic, or my basic rotation for opening up a fight. If it's single target or if it's multiple targets, it doesn't really make a difference. Obviously, if it's multiple targets, you use more. Abilities that are like area of effect. But you want to start with this Heart Strike, which doesn't do too much damage, but it generates runic power, so it means you can do more abilities. So if you start off with it, I'd switch to either Plague Strike and then Icy Touch, and those apply both of your poisons, or both of your plagues, like disease sort of things that cause damage over time. Then you'll be constantly doing damage. Then use Runic Strike, and that does a lot of damage, and it also builds up some blood taps here. Each strike builds 2 up here, and 5 you can change into a death rune, which are one of these, or replaces one of these. So you want to keep spamming that until you get 5, 10 or 12 is maximum, and then every time you've got a free blood rune you want to hit Heart Strike again, and the damage is increased by 15% on each enemy for each disease you have on them, so it's a max of 30%, and it hits multiple targets, and each time this hits, this generates 1 charge of your Death Strike. So you want to keep this until you get about 5, unless you're desperately low in health. So once you get 5 wee numbers down here, hit that, and that'll deal a massive amount of damage and heal you for 80% of that. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty good move. So that's pretty much it until you get them to below 35% health. Then you want to use Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper doesn't deal that much damage instantly, but if the enemy's still alive after 5 seconds, it deals 70,000 damage, non-crit. And a crit is like a critical strike, so if your crit chance is high, you have more chance of doing a crit, which is double damage. So you could end up doing a massive crit, like 140k or whatever it is. And then if the target dies within that 5 seconds, you gain 50% haste for 5 seconds. So yeah, it's pretty good. For AoE, you want to open with Death and Decay. So that's this move here, and I'll put a marker on the floor, and anyone inside that will do a certain amount of damage, shadow damage per second on them, but it fades after 10 seconds. So that's only an opener. Another thing for AoE is Blood Boil, and that damages all enemies within 10 yards for 7,000 damage, but it does an extra 50% damage if your targets are infected by your plagues. So it's useful, especially if all your targets are affected by plagues, or your main target is affected by your plagues and you want to spread them. This spreads your disease as well. And if you want to instantly apply your Plague Strike or your Icy Touch, just hit Outbreak, and that puts them on instantly. So yeah, it's pretty handy. The best defenses are always have Bone Shield up. It reduces damage taken by 20%, and whenever you can, or if you're in danger, use Icebound Fortitude, which reduces the effects, or the damage effects, by 80% for 12 seconds, so it's good. Hey, so let's talk about gems, enchants, and all that other fancy stuff. So, gems, what you want to get, or what I would recommend, is hitting your expertise cap. Your expertise is down here, so your dodge and parry chance for level 90 is mainly what you want, is 0. So you want to get roughly 8.5% cap, or expertise percent, and that can be done in gems or just on the actual item itself. But you can get hybrid gems which give you 2 instead of just 1 red gem there. It gives you 160 plus strength. So sometimes you might want to get a hybrid. The one above, that orange one, is called a meta gem, and that's only for the head, and that does fancy things like extra stamina, but then reduces spell damage or whatever. Does other things if you buy different ones, but they can range from like 300 gold to 1200 golds, depending on what you buy and what the need and demand is. So if you get a Resolute Tiger Opal, that gives you 120 expertise and 120 dodge. And if you put the 2 gems in the right colour, you get a socket bonus, and the socket bonus changes for each set of armour. So I've got just a pure strength in there, just for a bit of extra power. But let me see, I've got a pure strength in there, but that gives me a different buff. So that gives me 90 stamina, not strength or crit. But that's all I've got gem. That's all I can afford to gem, because there's no more gem sockets. If you're a blacksmith, you can gem your bracer and your hands using your skill, and you can get a socket for a belt. But it's quite expensive, what I mean, on the auction house. So I haven't done that. Enchants as well are pretty good. I'm doing enchanting at the minute, like leveling it. That's my profession. So you can enchant loads of things. Just select what you want and hit enchant, and then I'll not do it because I need the stuff, but let's see. Let's say enchant gloves. These ones here. Hit enchant. Yes, I just enchant it. That's it done. So it gives me +5 gathering. Not very good, but whatever. And you can put whatever you want on, but each one are separated into each thing. So enchants for the head, you don't really get many enchants anymore. For the shoulders, you want to aim for like expertise, strength, stamina, or dodge. Especially for a tank. Chest is the same, or you can get, just ignore that, PvP resilience. You can get one that increases all your stats. If I go to chest here, there's one that increases like mighty stats is pretty good, where it increases all your stats by 15. So it increase strength, agility, and stamina all by 15. So it's alright. Or you can go for just pure stamina or health or whatever you want. Doesn't really make a difference. Stamina, stats, or health is what you want to go. You can go for greater dodge, but it's not really worth it on your chest. On your weapon, for Death Knights, you get runes, which are these, which are better than putting like Windsong on. Stone Skin Gargoyle or the Fallen Crusader I like to use, just because it might heal you and it'll increase your strength. Or this increases your armor and your stamina, so it's beneficial both ways. That's pretty much it. You can't do trinkets, and you can't gem weapons. So yeah, that'll be the gems and enchants. I haven't actually enchanted everything. I'm waiting until I get my enchanting to 600, and then I'll enchant everything, and it'll be looking pretty sweet.